Hey, check this out. It's a drawing by Japanese artist Takahiko Inoue. Take a couple seconds with me and just look at it. How about this? This is Baleful Strix, a painting by German artist Nils Hamm. I've got more. How about this? This is called Bitter Blossom by American illustrator Rebecca Gay. Oh, last one. This one's just called Journey. I think we can all agree these are some wonderful works of art, but I have to wonder what happens when I tell you that that first drawing is from a graphic novel manga series called Vagabond. Baleful Strix and Bitter Blossom are art on Magic the Gathering cards. And Journey, well, Journey isn't even a work of art at all, it's just a screenshot taken from a game of the same name.
Knowing what you do now about these pieces of art, has your perception of them changed? And if so, why?
This video is meant for people who don't know much about video games. Obviously anyone can stick around and watch, but the intended audience of this essay is people who are not intimately familiar with the medium. Maybe you know Mario and Pikachu. Maybe you think games are a waste of time. Maybe you don't like games that much. Maybe you think that they're inferior works of art compared to other works of art, if you think that they're art at all. If you are in that last category of people, I want to thank you personally for giving this video a chance, and please bear with me. Regardless of who you are, the purpose of this video essay remains the same. And on that note, hello, my name is BDB, and I'd like to tell you why you should play video games. Now in this video, which is supposedly about video games, I've done surprisingly little talking about video games. Let's keep it that way, shall we? You know what this is, don't you? Of course you do. It's the Mona Lisa. It's the most famous painting in all the world, partly due to its history with crime. It was stolen in 1911, which is where it sort of rejoined the modern cultural consciousness, and since then it has had a rock, a mug, and acid thrown on it. Now it's displayed in the most prestigious art museum in all of the world behind bulletproof glass whiter than my leg. So let's take a look at it. What is it really? It's a picture. It doesn't have a soundtrack. There's no score to the Mona Lisa. Da Vinci didn't spin around in his chair and bang out an organ solo to accompany it. It doesn't move. It doesn't have a choreography. I'm half tempted to say it's just a painting, but it's not just a painting. It's a painting. What else would you do but look at it? In the same vein, we could observe music, which is equal but opposite. Instead of purely seeing a painting, we purely hear music. Music is often a vehicle for raw emotion, conveying meaning and message in lyrics and style. It's no mistake that music has been a catalyst for social change many times. Of course, music has the power to conjure images in people's heads, but fundamentally, music isn't images, it's sound. Compare this to a movie, which you can both see and hear, not to mention the image is moving, and you hear much more than just music. There's spoken dialogue.
I don't know why some of this didn't work. I must have tried it 1,000 times.
You gotta plug it in next time, you stupid fuck.
Which comes from a script, and there's directions for actors and stagehands and so much more. Now obviously that's not to say that movies are inherently better than music and paintings. The three mediums are so wildly different that comparing them on their base merits alone would be ridiculous. And that's not the point I'm making here. What I mean to say with this is that the three of them are unique and different because they have different layers of artistic complexity. A painting is purely visual, but at the same time, it's purely visual. It invites you to use your imagination, to fill in the blanks for the other senses. This is also art for magic, by the way. The same goes for music. I'm sure for many of us, music means much more than just pretty words spoken in pretty ways. As I mentioned, music conjures images and feelings in all of us, sometimes intensely so. Movies, meanwhile, are windows into somebody else's mind, giving us a glimpse with the third eye of another. Once again, all three mediums have a unique experience from one another because they offer something the others don't. So knowing all this, why should you play a video game? Especially when other forms of art enrich our understanding of the world and make us more cultured, sophisticated individuals. Well, for people who play games, the answer couldn't be more obvious. It's the thing that lies at the beating heart of the medium, the thing which separates games so dramatically from every other form of art: interactivity. Music has a listener, movies have a watcher, and pictures have a viewer. Games, however, have a player. While no form of art is inherently better than another, engaging with a video game is inherently more intimate than engaging with any other form of art. The only thing that comes close is perhaps reading a book, and even then, games have a much sharper edge. Now this may sound like blasphemy to you, so allow me just a few seconds to win you over with an example. Let's go back to Journey, that game I talked about at the very start of the video. Journey is a game where you play as a traveler embarking on an adventure through a desert to reach the top of a mountain. As you wander this desert, you find ruins of all kinds, suggesting that there was once a society here before you. You explore these barren, broken buildings with the help of magical strips of cloth that help you reach heights and fly to places you otherwise couldn't. Along the way, you uncover the history of the people who were here before, long since destroyed, but perhaps not forgotten. All you know is that the ultimate answer must be at the top of the mountain. Sounds kinda weird, huh? A far-out story that couldn't possibly amount to much. It's like a plumber saving a princess from a turtle dragon, right? Well, have a look for yourself. Amazing, right? Journey is a beautiful game. It almost looks like an animated film, doesn't it? But here's the thing. Every action you see here isn't a predetermined animated sequence. Instead, it's the result of a player's input. In order for Journey to continue, in order to see more of the beauty it has to offer, in order to progress the story and see the next big thing, you have to solve the puzzles and discover the secrets of your surroundings. Rather than watching a character explore this beautiful world, you do it yourself. You want to see how it all unfolds? You want to get to the mountain? Alright, go! Here's another example. This time, let's step away from the beauty and into the darkness. In Amnesia: The Dark Descent, you play as a man named Daniel. As the name suggests, he is trapped in a castle with no memory of how he got there. You wander aimlessly through stone halls that seem all at once too big and too small. You're clearly alone. But you don't feel alone. Right away, you're afraid. There's a sinister atmosphere to absolutely everything around you. If that's already too much, well, you ain't seen nothing yet. If you trudge through the initial fear, though, you're rewarded with a lantern. Yay! Maybe you shouldn't be excited, though. In fact, you should be very concerned that this horror game with The Dark Descent in its name just gave you a faulty and limited source of light. This is the furthest thing from a good sign. Immediately following this realization, you are treated to yet more relief. You're finally told why you're here, in a note from yourself.
19th of August, 1839. I wish I could ask how much you remember. I don't know if there will be anything left after I consume this drink. Don't be afraid, Daniel. I can't tell you why, but know this. I choose to forget. Try to find comfort and strength in that fact. There is a purpose. You are my final effort to put things right. God willing, the name Alexander of Brandenburg still invokes bitter anger in you. If not, this will sound horrible. Go to the inner sanctum, find Alexander, and kill him. His body is old and weak, and yours, young and strong. He will be no match for you. One last thing. A shadow is following you. It's a living nightmare, breaking down reality. I have tried everything, and there is no way to fight back. You need to escape it as long as you can. Redeem us both, Daniel. Descend into the darkness where Alexander waits and murder him. Your former self, Daniel.
Great! Now you're even less settled than before, and your previous self has only strengthened your suspicion that you're not alone. Still got some bravery to spare? You sure? Have you noticed these rooms are getting darker? Get comfy with that lantern. If at this point you still have the nerve to keep going, you find yourself in a large main hall, and...
Alexander, is it inside the castle?
In a manner of speaking. Come, bring the lamp. You've been to the refinery, have you not?
I don't believe I have. Is it connected to the... what did you call it?
The inner sanctum. My most precious chamber, Daniel. And it lies well beyond the refinery. In fact, it lies beneath the very stone of Brennenburg.
Wait, what? Do you have voices in your head now? No. That was a memory. That was Daniel recalling his past. He was talking to Alexander, the very man he told himself, in other words, the very man he told you to murder. The plot just thickens one after the other with this game, folks. Now the supernatural isn't off the table either. There's a weird, fleshy substance growing out of the walls, and somehow you and Alexander used to be colleagues, possibly even friends. What happened that drove you to willfully forget everything and tell yourself to kill him? Your only option is to keep moving, keep finding clues, and keep worrying about that shadow following you. How can a shadow follow you anyway? What did you mean by that? Well, you don't have to wonder for long. Now you know for certain you're not alone. You're confused, you're scared, and you're being hunted. You have nothing but questions. Who are you? Who is Alexander? What is this castle? What is this stuff? And what the hell was that thing? If you want to know, you only have one option. Play the game. See, the brilliance of experiences like Amnesia is in how they use the interactive medium to full effect, to immerse you completely in their atmosphere and what they're trying to do. Your fear is Daniel's fear. You share in mutual confusion over your situation. You can't just watch Daniel walk through the castle. You have to walk him through the castle. Your bravery is his bravery. You learn his fear of the dark. You learn to love your lantern. And you learn to watch for the shadow. One final example before I wrap up, if you'll allow me. To close this whole deal, I'd like to talk about Gris. Gris is a game where you play as a girl who sings to a statue. At the start of the game, she loses her voice and can no longer sing. Her whole world literally crumbles around her, which is where the story begins. You take her on a metaphorical trek through levels representing the 5 stages of grief. I'm not going to show you any footage of Gris. Instead, I'm just going to show still images while the soundtrack plays in the background. Keep in mind that everything you're about to see is a screenshot taken while actively playing Gris. It's difficult to describe my experience with Gris. My time spent with the game felt so personal, so one-to-one. Regardless, I'll do my best to at least explain a little of what this game means to me. Gris, through visual metaphor alone, taught me a lot about how I deal with anger, and yet it's not a game about anger in the slightest. It's about so much more. It's about love, loss, perseverance, change, acceptance. It's about how our world changes so abruptly and yet so dramatically. It's about the highs and lows of life. It's about you. It's about me. I have a lot to say about Gris, and I feel this video's already made its point. And to that point, I hope I've convinced you to play video games. And if not, I hope you at least have a deeper understanding as to why they're so important to so many people. Games can touch us on a very deep emotional level the way other art just can't. Sometimes a game just gets you. I feel like Gris got me. There's a lot of games that are like that. Games that remind me why I play video games. And I feel I can't do all of them justice in just one video. So, maybe we'll see each other again. Until then, GG.